Hi everyone, welcome back to Metanoia. My name is Carrie Jane. Today we're going to be talking about the Numerology of December. I would like to quickly remind everyone that this is a timeless video, this is a timeless playlist. So this is any December of any year. If you would like more 2020 related stuff, or what's coming around the corner in general and right now, I would recommend my 12/21/20 video that I just made. Thank you, Tammy, for requesting that, as well as my 2021 forecast video. Please watch those videos if you haven't yet. But December. Okay, today we're going to be talking about December in general. Let's start talking about December through the numbers 1 and 2 that we have for this month. 1 would be initiative and strength, as many of you already know. The number 2, think overall love and balance. Many more things, but love and balance is the most, I think, prevalent theme going on here with the number 2. Reminiscent of March, we had number 3, which is what 1 and 2 add to. So technically this is a 3-month. We just have that added dimension of the numbers 1 and 2. But if you've watched that video, you know I talked a lot about self-expression, creativity, social events, being social in general. And of course, what do we have this month? The whole Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa bonanza. We have Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, just a lot of plans, a lot of buying things for people in general. Doesn't matter what you celebrate. We see that. This is very obvious for the month of December. But we must examine this added dimension of the numbers 1 and 2 to really understand what this month in particular is about. And with the combination of 1 and 2, what I see is a time for emotional self-reflection. The number 1 is often about, like I already said, just the self, authenticity, the individual, striving for success, making those plans and actually doing them, all that stuff. But now we have this 2, which is a very emotional number. So I always feel like this is a time for particularly emotional self-reflection. There's other kinds of reflection, like trying to, figure out your resume. That would be more practical self-reflection, or, analyzing yourself from an intellectual perspective, like, that would be like a 7 thing. But the number 2 is always very emotional. So think diving into your emotional needs, your emotional self in terms of the present, like how you're feeling right now, how you want to feel in the future. Let's not forget the number 1, which is like thinking about what do I need to do now for the future. And as well as, of course, I think in the past. We're going to be talking about the past, present, and future a lot in this month. I just want to quickly also notice that's 3 things: the past, present, and future. Because we come to a point in this time of the year where we've already had October, okay, which was when we had a taste of what the new year was like. We already been through November, which was hopefully a time of some kind of processing what had just happened during the year, and integration and gratitude, which I already described. And now we arrive at this point where we've already, kind of processed, have a new vision. And now what about us? In this light. How do I feel about this? And how do I want to feel in the future? I hope this makes sense. Of course, please do not forget the essence of the 3, which is what I've described in the past as the mind-body-spirit connection. So think about that as a kind of like energetic gateway to the number 3, what this is really implying when we see 3s in anything, anywhere, ever. In this preparation of what's to come and embracing what has happened and what's happening right now, there's this magic of the 3. So I also talk about the 3 being a very magical number, especially in the March video as well. and it's so interesting that we acknowledge this time as kind of like a spiritual time, even if it's not a religious time, it's a spiritual time for a lot of people. There's this quote unquote spirit of Christmas. Spirit didn't go away throughout the rest of the year, but all of a sudden December rolls through and we're acknowledging spirit again. So this is, I think, in my opinion, the magic that is always associated with the three. For example, a 3 life path, a healthy 3 life path is in touch with their inner child and their imagination and the magic that comes from stuff like that. So believe in magic this month is my first piece of advice. Regarding the past, present, and future aspects, I really love how this also ties into that the Christmas story of Scrooge, where he's visited by 3 ghosts, one of the past, one of the present, and one of the future. So no, I'm not stealing from that. It's just oddly within numerology, when we take into account this number 1, this number 2, the synthesis of the number 3 as a result, and coming at the time of an end of something, whilst looking back at the numbers that we just left. Okay? So this is where numerology tends to get, although numerology is in most ways, very straightforward, this is when numerology tends to get a little bit complex. There's just more and more factors to take into consideration. It's not just the number, it's how we got to the number. Where were we before this? Where are we going after this? Etc. But I just find it so interesting that there's this past, present, future ghost theme within Scrooge. It makes me always think that the author was incredibly in tune with the air, the spirit of this month, I really love Elizabeth Gilbert's book on magic and just what she's about in general. She's talked about this in videos and lectures and stuff about this idea that creativity, these things that we call creativity, is perhaps not something that we are generating, but something we're tuned into. This idea of genius that I believe the ancient Greeks believed, that when you had an amazing idea, genius would visit you. It was almost like a spirit would visit you, and you would, there would be a dynamic with you in that. So it was a little bit more like an external influence rather than something that was just coming out of us all the time. And it's a very interesting thing to read, that book in general, or just look into Elizabeth Gilbert's work on creativity in general. And December is a great time to do anything creative, so I think that's a little bit relevant to what I'm saying, despite going on a bit of a tangent. But do you see what I'm getting at here? It's like we come at this time of the year where we're just kind of in this in-between stage, and we're left with, having weighed what we've came out of, have maybe not, entirely weighed, but acknowledged where we either would like to go or where we are going. Maybe it is set in stone, for the first few months of next year at least. And we come into this interim phase. And, what do we do? What do we do during this time? For every single year, that's going to be something different based on what the next year is, what the personal year is, what's, what the global year was, what month it is, what year that we're about to enter, etc. But there is one piece of advice that I can give for any December, and that is this combined message of the 1 and 2, which I wrote down here. Finding strength in love, all kinds of love, for all things and people, and balancing our need to be a go-getter, that initiative of like, I want this now that I've gone through the year, I'm trying to get to here, with our need for contentment with what we already have. This balancing with what we want with what we already have. And the strength in love and the relationships that we have with other people and with ourselves and everything. There's so many kinds of love. It doesn't have to be with a close-knit family, and if you have that, you're lucky, because not a lot of us get to have people, Love is transcendental, and so love in all things for the month of December is my advice. You have more than you think, and at the same time, it's not bad to want more, and the balancing it in between that. I also wrote here that like in the process of doing this, we are often getting in touch with the part of ourself that has something to both give and receive. And that's a lot about Christmas too, and it's why I talk about the holidays or what generally happens during the seasons, during these months, because they're always oddly on point with the calendar year, the number of the calendar year. And, as a numerologist, I do, notice these things, these coincidences happen a lot. You go to a law firm who's starting up or any business that's trying to start up, and you notice they chose a phone number with mostly 8s, which is like earthly matters and money and business, stuff like that. I, am having a hectic day and I see 5s everywhere. This is why probably a lot of you are here. You notice a lot of these synchronicities, which are like mirrors of what's going on right now. And they're by no means, like I said in my last video of the 12/21/20 video, controlling us, as they are a mirror. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this entire playlist. And I would like to take this moment to announce that starting next month of January 2021, I'm going to start moving away from timeless videos, which I've spent many years building on my channel. Videos that are pertaining to numerology or anything that are timeless. I spent a lot of years creating that kind of content. Now I'm going to go into more monthly forecasts, I guess you could call them. Although forecasts is never a great word for that. I prefer the word reading a little bit better. But this is because, this is what I did with the calendar year playlist. I first worked through it with my patrons. Thank you so much to all my patrons for making all this possible. I first worked through it with my patrons, and at the end of it I was like, yeah, this needs to be on on my channel now. So I just spent the entire year, adding that information to Metanoia for everyone. And now I'm going to basically just do what I've been doing every single month for my patrons, talking about what the world is going through each month and publishing that. Of course, if you would like a personal monthly reading, if you would like to be a part of my patrons on Patreon, the links are in the description. Those are, like I already said, it's like a monthly video that I utilize to talk about what you guys are going through. I take your birthdays, figure out what point you are in the 9-year cycle and what month you're in as well. And each month we talk about that. And I do a group reading, and I do like a little healing session. I have sometimes a sound bowl. My favorite thing to do is to set an intention with a candle, things like that. It's a great monthly check-in. I would love it if you joined me. And yeah, like I said, the way to sign up to that, or anything in general, is in the description of all my videos. I think that's all I have to say for this video now. So thank you all so much for watching this entire playlist. I do hope December turns out to be a beautiful month for all of you. Please let me know how you're doing, and join me for Vlogmas if you're watching this in 2020. I hope everyone's okay out there. I think about you guys all the time, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.